he asked me if I wanted to have a threesome with him. We've started.
If my partner came to me and was like, I gave you herpes, I do not know where I got it from, but I know I didn't get it from you.
When somebody shows you who they are, believe them.
Do I keep the friendship or cut things off?
It's easy for you to give somebody the love that you're used to, and then you find it difficult when they're not able to reciprocate in that exact way, right? Penis patrol. Penis patrol. Hello and welcome to the To My Sisters podcast. I'm Renee.
And I'm Courtney, and we are your online sisters and hosts of the To My Sisters podcast.
Now, we are all about promoting the wellness, growth and development of a community of sisters across the world.
And in today's episode, we are answering your dilemmas. Yes, we have come in the spirit of sisterhood to do the people's episode and simply get through as many dilemmas as possible. Shout out to all of you who actually trust us to speak into your lives, give you word of wisdom, but also just to give you advice, and send your dilemmas to dilemmas@tomysisters.com. You guys know we typically do a ding 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 dilemma at the beginning of every single episode, but we thought, why not give some more girls a chance and actually do a full dilemma episode? And it's actually something that has been requested several times. So we are jumping into some juicy things, from career to academia to family drama to relationships, as we often see. So it's going to be a really good one. But before we get into it, let's give some housekeeping announcements.
Woo, we love a bit of housekeeping. We also always need to make sure that our house is swept and clean. Sisters, first of all, we want to say thank you so much for the support towards our school. We have been fundraising towards our school, the Bright Future Academy, over in Tamale, Ghana, and we are almost there. Like, really, sisters, when I say we are close, we are over that 9K mark. It is a home run, and we just want to say thank you to everyone that has donated so far and brought this to a reality. It is so wonderful to know that we have such an engaged community of sisters, but also allies, because we know the brothers have been coming through an opening day purse, and we love to see it. So sisters, please help us get to that final stretch. We are almost there. Just a couple more pounds, whatever you have in your pocket, or even just sharing with somebody that you think would be able to be a blessing to these children. Please continue to support us. We know that we're going to smash it out of the park real soon, real fast, and real quick. So sisters, please continue to help us in that work, and thank you. Shout out to everybody that has supported so far, whether you've donated, whether you've shared. We know that the sisters have been going crazy with the support online, and we love to see it. And we're almost there, sisters.
We really are. And so honestly, we're going to be sharing more progress pictures and updates with you guys, but honestly, work is underway and the campaign is going on. We said we'd give it 6 months. You guys smashed it in like 2. And so we are going to keep pressing on to see what more we can do. But honestly, like Renee said, thank you. Like, we couldn't have made this happen without you guys. And so thank you so much for showing us that we really are a community of people doing community work. Second housekeeping announcement. You don't want to miss next week's episode, because we have a very, very exciting announcement coming to you all, which is quite time sensitive. Can't lie to you. So next week, set your alarm, Sunday, 8 p.m. BST. Okay, we're making a good old announcement.
And ready your purse.
For real.
Don't miss out.
Real. We cannot wait to share it with you guys. We've been dropping hints here and there, and if you've been at events where we've been at, if you've been able to see us in person, then you probably know what's going on already. But to let the rest of the sisters in on the gist, next week, 8 p.m. BST. All right.
You really have to be at this one, and let me tell you why. You don't want to lack at this one. We're not even going to be here real soon. We are getting ready to jet over to Bali, Indonesia, in just a couple of weeks, where we'll be able to just commune with our sisters in person over there, eating all that good food. We're about to eat all sorts of rice, every single thing that the Indonesians have for us, we will have, that's for sure. But also, we are so excited to celebrate sisterhood, to be with our sisters. And if you missed out on that opportunity, let's just say there's an opportunity coming in your midst, especially our UK girlies, but also the girlies that are adjacent. I'm talking all the European ladies. There is something coming in our midst, and we don't want you to miss out. So please make sure that you are ready, prepped, primed for that announcement.
Definitely. But if you want to join us in international waters, then you can join the TMS international trips.
Ooh.
We are going to Ghana in December. So if you want to sign up for that, there are still places available for you to join the gang of amazing women who will be meeting up during Dirty December.
Yes.
Okay. To explore Accra, Tamale, and much more. And so we'll leave the link to that in the description. You can also sign up to our South Africa trip, which is happening in February 2024. The girls have come in masses to that one, can't lie to you, so spots are limited. But definitely if you want to give it a look over, then sign up. The link will be in the description, it will be in the show notes, and we can't wait to see you.
And a little birdie said that we might be doing something out there, not just an experience, but, something for our girls who are actually already in South Africa, and the girls that are coming with us. A little something that might be quite similar to what we're hoping to announce next. It's giving cryptic. I'm not giving you guys anything, not even a little bit. You're probably listening to this like,
they know exactly what it's about.
Yeah, I don't want to be that person that's like, I don't want to say it. I'm going to say it next week. Just not this week. So, a little birdie told me there may just be a little extra shebang at some of these international experiences. So sign up.
Please do. Yes. So without further ado, let us get into solving the people's problems. We have a few ding dilemmas. Let's get into it. Dilemma number 1. Dear Courtney and Renee, I firstly just want to say that I appreciate all the hard work that you both put into delivering inspiring content for us viewers. I began listening to you both during one of the most challenging times of my life, and I can honestly credit you both for helping me find hope and happiness even when it felt impossible. My dilemma, I know, very, very sweet. My dilemma, I am a 23-year-old from the US, and I graduated from a highly ranked state university in May 2022. I had earned a full scholarship, so I graduated debt-free with a degree in public health science and a 3.89 GPA following graduation. I had full intentions of applying to medical school. However, within the first 4 months of my gap year, I finally listened to the voice inside of me that was telling me that a career in medicine was not what I wanted. After much exploration, I have decided to pursue a consulting career and have taken a particular interest in IT. I took an online data analytics course and applied to numerous consulting jobs with no luck. The harsh reality is that unless you are recruited straight from undergrad, or if you have previous consulting experience, it is very unlikely to even be considered for an interview. With this in mind, I've decided to apply for a Master's of Science in Information Systems program at the university I graduated from. This program is highly ranked, and I have spoken to a number of individuals who have said that earning this degree changed their career trajectory completely. One student who had also studied public health and was pre-med was candid with me about his experience applying to over 200 jobs with no luck. Within 3 months of entering this master's program, he was receiving summer internship offers, and now he works as an analyst in New York City, earning over $100,000 as his starting salary. I'm still waiting on my admissions decisions, but I'm honestly scared about what will happen if I get in. Even though I'm excited about the opportunities that can come from this program, I am terrified of telling my parents, mainly my mum. My mum is very against me pursuing anything other than medicine and is convinced that I'm just going through a phase right now. I'm honestly so scared of her reaction if I tell her that I'm pursuing this master's degree. On top of that, if I don't receive any scholarships, the total cost to attend plus living costs would be around $40,000 for 3 semesters. I suspect that because I will not have my parents' support, that they would not help me pay for this degree at all. Not that I'm entitled to their money, but I'm overwhelmed because I'm a new graduate and I am nowhere near financially stable. Thankfully, I have no student loan debt right now, but I only earn $20 an hour in my current job as a medical assistant. There is no way I can afford school right now without taking massive loans. I want to start my life and build my career, but I feel like I can't get there without this degree. I would really appreciate your wisdom on this, especially because I am already struggling with feeling like a failure because despite all my hard work, I can't even be considered for an interview for a job. Thank you, and sending you both so much love.
Ooh, sis, that's a chunky one. This is first of all, congratulations. How incredible. You real smart. I heard that 3.89 GPA. I said, we are not playing with, nobody is playing with Miss Mamas right here. Hello. So excellent. Congratulations. I know that obviously you're thinking about the next few steps in your career, your life, your trajectory. I actually just want to celebrate you real quick and just say well done, sis. And for those that are listening, please do come over and congratulate a good sis on her, you know, completing and at such a high GPA.
And congratulations to most people. It's graduation season.
Yo, it is graduation
honestly,
season.
If you graduated, drop in the comments what you graduated in, and honestly, let us put our little, you know, party popper emojis and all of that, and really celebrate you down in the comments.
Absolutely. We might have to do that whole roll call.
Did you say sparkle?
Yeah.
It's sprinkle.
But I did sparkle.
But it's sprinkle.
No, but I feel like sparkle is my thing.
But it's sprinkle.
Sparkle.
You can't just change it.
I want to sparkle.
Sprinkle.
Sparkle. Whatever you feel to do, whether it's a sprinkle or a sparkle. The funny thing is I got sparkle from, that's even a whole long story that we don't have time for, child. But I got sparkle from Nikita from Included VC, actually. She always says, but I don't have time for that to go into too many details, but Included VC is basically this amazing fellowship for folks that are interested in getting into venture capital that is headed by the fantastic Nikita and Anu. And she always says sparkle, go into places and sparkle, which to me is like super inspiring, because it's like, oh, I'm going to shine in this particular space. So that's why I now say sparkle a lot. But sis, congratulations. It's so incredible how we can get to a place in our lives where we have actually achieved so much and yet still feel like a failure. And I think that this is something that quite a lot of people, especially those of you that may be in the midst of pivoting or in the midst of thinking about like your career trajectory, feel like. It's like, damn, I've done quite substantial, like amazing things, but the dawn and the fear that is associated with my career is preventing me from actually celebrating that and living in the moment. So the very first thing that I would love for you to do is actually just celebrate yourself and really enjoy this present moment of, I've done that, you know. Then we can talk about the career trajectory. The first thing that I would say to that element is you're not the first person that has gone through this at all. In fact, this is very, very typical. Obviously, this is the UK is different to the US, but you've got a lot of people across the board that, you know, they are pursuing a medical degree or pursuing something that's very attached to a vocational career, and then deciding, actually, whilst I really enjoyed this course and I really enjoyed this particular skill set, building this skill set, this isn't where I want to utilize that skill set. And that's perfectly fine and perfectly normal. I think in terms of making the decision for yourself, I'm glad you came to a place where you're like, I want to take a decisive step in my career by, you know, doing this master's and getting that extra profession, especially because it makes you a more attractive candidate in the labor market. The reality of the situation is there's going to be a lot of people entering the labor market and there's just not enough jobs. There's just not enough opportunities, in that the supply is not meeting the demand. 100%. And that's the reality of the situation. What is also another reality is you can do things to set yourself apart. And based off of, you know, the fact you've done so much research into this master's degree that you're hoping to do, you actually are connected to people as well that have that, you know, expertise. You're in a really, really great place. The fact that you even have people that have actually, they're currently in industry, but they're also having gone through that process, you have a wealth of resources to you already. So when it comes to things like preparing for interviews, when it comes to things like making applications, use the people that you have around you, sis. You've got a network already. And quite a few people get to this particular place that you're at and don't actually have that network. Most definitely. I am telling you, especially when it comes to industries like consulting, relationships are really, really important. In fact, a lot of really great job opportunities come as a result of some form of relationship that you have or built. So nurture the relationship that you have with the guy that's making six figures. And you need to be at that man's door. You need to be like, hello, sir, can I sit down? Do you have any wisdom or insights you'd be willing to share with me? Are there ways that I can support you? Really build yourself up around these people, and even some of your recent graduates as well, some of your friends that may be in, maybe not the exact same profession if you can't find any, but those that may be in kind of adjacent professions. It is very, very important to start nurturing that professional network that you have, so that you have, again, that extra edge. It doesn't necessarily just have to be your extra degree, but also those relationships that you have, so you can get there a little bit quicker. There have been so many times in my professional career and Courtney's professional career where we've been able to skip a couple of steps, or we've been able to improve our desirability to employers or other folks because we have those relationships. So I definitely say leverage the people that you have around you at this time, especially those that are either currently on the course, have been on the course, or those that are in adjacent industries. In terms of communicating this change of heart to your parents, I think it's very much about sitting down and ensuring that your parents have the full context of the decision that you've made, because you've actually made a very sensible decision in the grand scheme of things. I think sometimes, obviously, our parents, they grew up in a different generation. They had a whole different set of circumstances and a different context, really. We're living in a time where, you know, those vocational careers may not actually be the best economically. They may not be the best in terms of prestige. There are a whole bunch of other industries that are opening up in society and sectors that are opening up that are ripe with innovation and ripe spaces for you to really carve out a really wonderful career for yourself. And I think prefacing it with that and saying, you know, it's not just that I've made this decision, but mother, father, I have been looking at the economic landscape and this is where we're at. As much as being a doctor is incredible and I would love that, or, you know, entering into medicine, whatever kind of space or area within medicine you were intending to go in, you've had a reality check. You've looked at the economic landscape. You've thought about the long-term career trajectory. You've thought about, you know, how consulting is going to set you up for life. Because at the end of the day, most parents actually just want the best for their kids. Exactly. So going in with that, I know that you want the best for me, and the best for me to you looks like me being a doctor or going into a medical profession. However, let me convince you why that may not be the best because of the change in circumstance that we're currently experiencing now. My parents, for example, they were like, you need to be a lawyer. I hated law. I just thought it was the most boring thing ever. And having to have that conversation with my parents and say, look, mom, dad, I love you guys, but this is not going to work, not just because I'm being like a rebellious kid that wants to do something different. I've actually sat down with the principles that you taught me, thinking about how I can set my future up properly. And I think that this is setting me up better than that. Maybe that would have, you know, worked 10 years ago or 20 years ago or whenever. But now looking at, you know, the current forecast, what the future is looking like, this makes the most sense because, and present an actual argument to your parents. And really, again, affirm it and couch it in that I know you care for me and I know you want the best for me. And I also want the best for me too. And this is how I'm going to get that. So really showing how you've thought practically about how this is going to set you up for life is definitely what I would say. That's and good. Then also give them some space to actually process. You might find yourself having to have multiple conversations. There won't be the conversation. They will still bring it up again and again. Even now, my parents would be asking me, so Renee, what is it that you do again? But giving them time to really process that, answering their questions, getting buy-in might actually be a process as opposed to, you know, just one conversation, especially when it's a 40K investment. So very much, you know, very, very well consider that. And also don't be too afraid. I think you're in a wonderful space. You've graduated with no student loans, no student debt. That's a phenomenal place to be. And I think that's even more compelling to your parents, right? You can actually take this quote unquote risk that will eventually pay off. Look at the, you know, salaries or look at the opportunities that are available after graduation. So it is, don't see it as a cash loss, really present it to them as an investment. They are investing in you, investing in your future. Kind of like, just go with that 7 PowerPoint slides to your parents and stuff. But yeah, that's what I would advise. But
I think you've covered everything. I think naturally risk comes with some anxieties, it comes with some worries, and nothing in the future is ever guaranteed, right? However, I think if you've found medicine or the medical field is not for me, and this pivot that I'm making, even if it's solely based off passion, I think if you have the zeal to go into consulting, to go into the IT space and really, you know, apply the skills and the academic excellence, right? You're clearly a very academically astute and intelligent person to have a 3.89 GPA. And so applying that to that almost does point to the fact that you will be successful once you enter into this new space. And I think if you're operating in a space where you truly are happy or at least more interested and intrigued by the work that you are doing, you are probably setting yourself up to flourish more. I completely agree with the point and want to echo the fact that you may need to network a bit more as well. It won't just be this degree that probably carries you through, but really learn from the guy who has basically done, you know, the things that you are doing, you know, started off with public health, has done this master's degree and is now sitting in a job which is very similar to maybe your future ambitions, definitely learn from people who have gone a few steps ahead of you, but also have made those pivots. It may be worth also asking him, how did you find the transition? How did you find the pivot? But also, what skill sets did you acquire from public health that you're now able to implement in the IT space? And how can I make the most of this master's, which I've now applied for? Because a part of me is, I have no doubt to some degree that you're actually going to get into this master's program. And I really hope that you do and that you flourish in it. But again, do not be disheartened by the fact that you've applied for loads of jobs and you haven't gotten anything. Because honestly, the labor and the job market right now, especially post-pandemic, is absolutely crazy. And I would encourage you to say that you are pivoting into something which has exponential growth potential, especially now that we're living in a digital era. And so you are kind of future-proofing yourself as well, which I think goes well into my last point, which is, like Renee said, presenting this as an investment. And for yourself as well, thinking about this as an investment into your earning potential, into your career trajectory, an investment into ultimately your future, but also communicate it to your parents as an investment, one that has been considered with wisdom, one that you have looked at the risk, you have looked at the time investment. And I do understand that there would be, I understand the worry you have concerning, if my parents don't buy into this, then there's not going to be any financial assistance. And I completely understand that. But one thing I will say is, if this is something that you are committed to as a plan, you need to bet on yourself. And I think a lot of times we look for other people to bet on us, but really and truly, it just requires you to bet on yourself and surround yourself with maybe other community members, other, stakeholders in your life who are willing to go out that journey with you. But your parents probably are not going to disown you because you've decided not to become a medical professional. They're probably just going to stand back a little bit and watch your decisions play out. And sometimes that can feel a bit lonely, but honestly, this is your time to shine. This is your time to sparkle. And this is an opportunity you have now to really believe in yourself and take this leap into this new part of your future. And so the last thing is, if your parents do not give you the financial assistance and you do need to get student loans, there is absolutely no shame in that. There is I know that it is a big financial burden to take on, but again, it is an investment into your future. And I know student loan debt globally is something that a lot of people, especially in the United States, but also here in the UK, a lot of people are dealing with. However, you're not the first and you're not the last. There are so many people who have taken out student loans, and yes, they have, they probably are thinking, damn, I got all this money to pay back. However, they are able to pay it back because they made strategic investments into their education, which skyrocketed their earning potential. And if you already know somebody who's in a position now where they're earning over $100,000 a year, student loan repayments may not actually crush you, right? And so it may be worth, especially considering you don't have debt from undergrad preceding this, it's going to be, a $40,000 loan or, around that amount. People have hundreds of thousands of dollars in loans, right? And so what you're taking on isn't maybe, and I don't know your particular situation or what your future will look like, but it may not be crippling debt. And I think it may be worth looking at this in a perspective where you're not afraid of the debt, but you are seeing the loan as an investment into your future to make it possible for you to not only cover the loan, but also cover the life that you want. I think growing up, a lot of us, if you're anything like us, like your relationship with debt, even the word can spark a lot of fear and can revolve around fear and viewing it as something really, really negative. But I think you are looking to get this loan for a really good reason. And it seems as though if you do the networking, if you ace your academics and you continue to look into what flourishing in this path will look like, you're actually setting yourself up to make that money back 10 times over in the next 5 years. And that's absolutely amazing. So sister, be reassured, you seem to have made some really good choices so far. And you can bet on yourself and that system of thinking that you already have to be able to make great ones in the future. And this seems like a really well thought out idea, and continue to pray about it, continue to think about it, continue to surround yourself with people who can help you on this journey. And I am sure, like Renee said, once your parents see that you are happy, once they see that you are provided for and you are not struggling, they will completely be on board. And you can buy, your mum a really nice bag, take your dad out to a really nice lunch.
Get her a little Louis.
Get them a little something nice, and then I'm telling you, their tune will change. I always knew you should have done that consulting. I don't know why we're giving them West African accents when your parents could be from somewhere else. But honestly, we are children of the diaspora. A lot of us have been there, but also just communicating things to a different generation. It's like what you said, there's that generational aspect, which is something that worked 30 years ago may not work now. But even if it's not an economic decision, it could be just a passion decision, a passion driven decision. And I think it's important to do the things that you actually like. And I hope that you like this new career path, which you are about to explore. And definitely send us a selfie from your, top floor office when you start working at one of the big four or something.
Also, ladies, with your graduation photos, like tag us or something, or send us the photos. We'd love to celebrate you. Like, actually, it brings us so much.
Tag us on Instagram stories or something so we can repost you and we can all just celebrate you, because graduating is not an easy feat. It is not easy. And as people who have studied real hard, we want to celebrate you.
Let's go. Popping bottles, baby.
You. But hopefully that answer to the dilemma was helpful. And on to the next one. Well, let's get through them.
Next dilemma. Hello, ladies. I'm writing to you from South Africa.
Love to see you.
We love our South African sisters. You already know. Like, we love you guys. I hope you have been at... Hello, ladies. I'm writing to you from South Africa. I hope... English. Sorry, that was me. I hope you have been and are doing well. There was no punctuation, so I was like, does this make sense? I want to start off by saying I love your podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Sorry.
It was my Anglais that threw us off. I have had a crush on this boy from my church for a few months now, and eventually we became friends and exchanged numbers. Okay. He didn't know I liked him when we became friends because I didn't tell anyone. The first night we went on a call together, he asked me if I wanted to have a threesome with him. We've started. I was shocked and offended, but I let that slide.
Shocked and offended.
A few weeks later, he wasn't doing well mentally and emotionally and wouldn't get out of his room. So I visited him with his favorite snacks and the intention to make him leave the house. Long story short, we ended up sleeping together, and when I went home...
that must have been a very long story.
Hey, very long. Or a short one. And when I went home, I was devastated because I didn't want our friendship to be like that. And I had been trying to stay celibate and fix my relationship with God. And to be honest, it had been going well. It's been a week now since that incident, and I finally told him I like him, and he said he's currently not in the right space for a relationship. And I understand because I've seen how much he's been battling with his mental health. Although he said that he also mentioned that he doesn't want to lose me even if we just stay as platonic friends. But he does still make these sexual remarks, suggesting that he wants to sleep with me. To make things worse, we realized that we have a soul tie together when we try to stay away from each other. I really like this guy and I actually thought I could build something with him. I don't know what to do. Please help. Would appreciate your response. Thanks in advance.
Okay. Well,
ring the alarm.
That's interesting. Whoa.
The threesome caught me off guard.
On the first call. Wow. You should have known what he was on from there. Don't assume just because you met somebody in a space which should suggest they should have certain values that they will necessarily stay true to those certain values. Yes. Church is not full of perfect people, and you cannot just simply assume because you met somebody in church that they hold or are practicing biblical values. And again, everyone's on a different journey with that. Everyone's at a very different stage with their faith walk. And so, he may be, and he may just be slipping up. But in this case, seems like actually he is on something completely different. And I get it. You like him, but if your values do not align, this isn't something that may be worth pursuing. In terms of, okay, the first conversation you had, he brought up a threesome. That to me is like, okay, red flag. You're not on the same principles as me. I'm trying to, take my celibacy seriously, and you feel comfortable enough, to you're in that place sexually. You feel comfortable enough to bring this up in the first conversation. We're not on the same page, and personally, for me, you should have left it there, right? Cool. But then again, pursuing a friendship, you're trying to pursue a friendship, and you still have your feelings. Feelings don't go away overnight. Right. And you trying to be a good friend, you've now ended up sleeping with him. And honestly, people slip up on their, celibacy, abstinence journeys all the time, right? And it's not to condone it. It's not but I certainly don't want to judge you or shame you either. It's something that you fall down once, you get up again, fall down 7 times, get up 8. And I think it's important for you to remind yourself that, okay, that was a slip up, but now what can you learn from that situation? Absolutely. Okay, was it that, certain boundaries were not communicated well? Were you just tempted to the point where, and you were tempted, and the environment lacked accountability, it lacked any parameters that would have stopped you from falling. So now this is a great thing to learn to now apply to other situations where you may find yourself in, right? Because you trying to be a good friend, trying to go and support your friend during a mental health situation, absolutely, now ending up in that situation. I know there's a long story you didn't want to explain, but these things don't just happen. It's usually that we know we're about to cross a boundary and we have an internal conversation in our own minds with our own selves and our own values. And we get so caught up in the moment that we do not stop ourselves, we do not self-regulate, and we do not hold ourselves accountable to them. And it's way easier said now, in retrospect and in hindsight, than it is done in the moment. However, I think it's worth learning from that situation. Where did things go wrong, right? Was it that I should have gone over with someone else? Should I have had accountability present to have stopped us from crossing that line? Because I already know he's quite a sexual person. I also know what journey I'm on and how I want to live my life. And so if me and you are alone in a room, you ain't gonna stop me. Do you get what I mean? And if I don't have the self, we can often say in that moment, oh no, I will have the self-control. No.
Baby,
do not bet on yourself that much. Don't take the last advice from the last dilemma.
Say, sister, one, bet on yourself.
Don't believe in yourself at all. No, because so many times with like celibacy, we'll be like, no, if I'm in the situation, Facts. I'll be able to hold myself.
Facts. And then all of a sudden your legs sprayed out.
And you don't know how it happened, huh? And I'm saying this because with everything, right, it crosses over into different examples of life. It's like food. You tell yourself, I'm on a diet. But all it takes is somebody bringing home a cupcake.
100%.
For you to now slip up. For you to now be like, damn, that sugar ban, it starts next week again. Do you get what I mean? And so all of us go through it in some way. And so do not beat yourself up about this, but do use this as a point of evaluation. Use this as a time to really address your boundaries as well, and how you can now operate in wisdom. A lot of the goals that we have do not just miraculously happen because we desire them. They require a lot of parameters to be put in place, a lot of different processes and procedures to be put in place. And I know it may sound anal. However, that might not be the right word to use in this situation. I know it might sound pedantic or meticulous, but when it comes down to actually wanting to achieve a goal like, saving yourself to marriage or whatever, practicing sexual abstinence, you need to put those kind of processes in place. And so like I said, it may be that next time you go over to a man's house who you may be attracted to or anything like that, you go with other people. And I think generally this is something that's quite understood in faith-based communities. If you lot are linking up, you're young, you're hot, you're fiery, the body is gingered. And so you should go in groups, go 2 by 2, as Jesus said.
Where 2 or 3.
Where 2 or 3.
Emphasis on the 3.
Hallelujah. Or 4 if you really want the spirit to move. Definitely go with other people. But now in terms of moving forward, just because, you slept with somebody doesn't always mean it's going to move forward in a relationship. And I get why that may have been, something you thought about, especially because you liked him. But with him not being in the headspace for a relationship, but still wanting to be friends with benefits, I think now, again, you need to start asking yourself, is this really what you want for yourself? Does that align with the goals that you have for yourself and your spiritual journey? And if because you are trying to practice celibacy, it clearly doesn't. And so I can say with full certainty, this man cannot be your friend. If I'm going to be very honest with you, he can be an acquaintance, he can be somebody who you see in your same community, but distance is completely necessary, especially because there has been a crossing of boundaries before. And oftentimes when we've tasted something, it's easy to go back to that thing, right? Exactly. It's easy to do what's already been done. You've already got images, you've already got experience, you've already got memories. And honestly, I wouldn't go back there. Now, as for the soul tie, This will be interesting because I have a very, I don't know about Renee, I don't know about you, but I have a very interesting relationship with the concept of soul ties.
Right.
But I think if you can see that there may be some kind of like dependency and emotional codependency emerging there, then definitely pay attention to that and be like, this isn't something that I want to see continue. This isn't something that I want to see, you know, get worse before it gets better. Actually, I can use wisdom. I can use maturity to exercise self-control, but also distance from this person who I know may not actually be the best for 100%. Me, especially in the headspace that they are at. And so I personally wouldn't advise pursuing a friendship. I think that maybe you can be friends within community or a wider friendship group. He goes to my church. But again, boundaries is what's going to be really important here. But definitely don't feel any shame about it. Pick yourself right back up and analyze things and move forward with wisdom. How about you?
Hey, that was point evidence explanation and link back to the question. I think you answered that perfectly. It's a 29 out of 29. You know, they don't give what do you call it? 30s. Yeah, 29 out of 30. So yeah, they don't give 30s. They say also, you know, you needed the extra pizzazz. I would personally give it a 30. If I was an IQI,
babe.
there
I'm
you
100%
go.
babe.
If I was an IQI, I would give you a 30 out of 30 for that one, mate. But you know, regulation and whatnot. But no, absolutely love that answer top to bottom. Literally. That big red flag, that threesome, baby, on the first call. Ring.
I'm telling you.
Call the police.
I'm telling you, a lot of people approach you with the guise of, oh, you know, we share the same principles because we exist in the same spaces. It is out of the heart will flow.
There we go.
Out of the I will hear a gap.
This
issues.
Is the thing. We need to test things.
Thank you.
And by tested, I don't mean having sex. I mean, are your actions matching your words? When you're speaking, what you're doing, do they match? Do you know what I mean? Anything. Is there some kind of cognitive dissonance? And I think a lot of us go through this where there will be times and seasons where we're going through things which may compel us into behaviors which cause us to be far from our principles. Yeah. So don't be assuming that just because he's a church boy or just because he's somebody that goes to specific spaces that is his identity. Yeah. Right? It may be an aspect of his identity, but what you need to figure out is he an integral person? Does he have integrity? Is his actions matching up to his words? If on the first call, this guy is a church guy, goes to a Bible believing church that, you know, believes in celibacy, abstinence, all that kind of stuff, and is asking you about, let's have a threesome on the first call, baby. On the first call, it's not even like he said, let me romance you.
That's what I'm saying. It's on the first call.
That bad is far.
On the first call. And trust me, like, this is no judgment. Like, people are in, like I said, in different places in their spiritual walk, right? But one thing that I never want any of the sisters to get hoodwinked by, and this is not just through, you know, relationships, but also in friendships, faith is something that changes you on the inside. Exactly. And that journey does take time. The process of transformation, transforming the way you think, the way you speak to people, it takes time, right? But you need to allow people to show you that work is happening, right? And if on the first call you can see you still need a lot of work to be done on renewing your mind, this ain't the person I can find myself in a relationship with right now.
I need more men to be afraid. And let me explain why.
There we go.
I need you to be more afraid of the Lord. Because first and foremost, you need to be afraid of the Lord, because fear of the Lord, that respect, right? As Courtney was saying, like, I need to see that there is some kind of work that is going on. Like, that needs to be a struggle. The way that dilemma came out, I don't think that bad struggle to say I want a threesome with you.
At all.
There was no struggle. There was no strength. He wasn't fighting with the flesh. He partnered with
the discernment would have been easier in this situation. That red flag.
Burgundy. But I need to see more struggle in your flesh. Like, if this is a burden that he's going through, then there needs to be clear indicators that he is doing what he can to make sure that he doesn't succumb to it. And if he is succumbing to it, we have already said that, you know, the flesh is a terrible leader. It will lead you to death. That's why flesh dies. Exactly. It's weak. That's a terrible leader. And I think when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. And I think in this particular circumstance, a good old boy has shown you who he is right now. Exactly. And you need to go off of the right now. Not the, oh, when he's healed, I'm sure he's going to be better. Not the, oh, he has potential. Especially when he's actually not demonstrated anything to show that he is working towards a better version of himself presently. So I would definitely say distance is very, very important here, because it's clear that, at least from this presentation of him in interactions with you, that he lacks the capacity to do that with you,
Yeah.
to do that work with you, to do that work for himself, but then equally to do that work with you. And he's actually been honest and said, look,
Yes.
I'm not ready for a relationship.
Yeah.
So now the decision lies with you as to whether you want to pursue this relationship or rather situationship, which is what this will become.
Most definitely.
He has been honest and straight off the bat and said, look, yeah, we did a thing. I want a threesome, all this kind of stuff. I'm going through it right now.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to have a relationship, but I still want access to you. I think he's actually done a courteous thing in letting you know, because there are a lot of other sisters that have been in situations like this who have been strung along, not knowing or not having that clarity. He's now giving you that clarity, and it's clear that that clarity means that there is a clashing somewhere.
Yeah.
You want to be abstinent, he does not. You want to pursue this relationship with Christ in this particular way, he does not. It is very clear. Emotions make it difficult, but also when you care for somebody, like you genuinely want them to be better, sometimes we take up the false responsibility of trying to heal that person.
There we go.
And this is where the second fear I need for this man needs to come into, and that is fear of he needs some accountability.
Yeah.
Fear of accountability. And this is where, again, other people come into the picture. Beyond having like friends and folks being around you guys, who is his accountability? Yeah. Beyond attending church, does he have some kind of accountability figure? Does he have mentors in his life? Does he have friends, like male friends in his life as well? Like who does he actually have around him beyond you two? Because these would ostensibly be your community if you were to pursue a relationship. Yeah. If you guys were to find yourself in trouble, even for you, it's a good question to ask for yourself. Who is your accountability? Beyond us giving you this advice, you also need other sisters to go to and say, sis, I'm actually roasting right now. Like I'm horny right now. I'm about to call that guy that said he wanted a threesome. You need to have people that are around you as well, beyond us, to actually call and be like, yo, help me out here, to actually like talk some sense into you in that particular moment. So for the both of you, do you have accountability? And if one of you doesn't, particularly on his side, then are you really aligned here? Are you really able to pursue this as a relationship? To me, the obvious answer is no. So that distance, again, is required. And I think, sis, please, as Courtney said, we're not here to shame anybody. Women have been shamed across history. It's enough. It's enough. They've been shamed. We're tired. We've been shamed for centuries now. So we're not here to shame you. We are here to tell you, though, like, okay, people make mistakes, but don't be a fool twice. You're allowed to be a fool once, but if you're a fool twice or more than that, then baby, we need some kind of deliverance or something like that. So don't allow yourself, because sometimes you know them ones where it's like, oh, I didn't know. Yeah, this is the fifth
exactly
time.
You know
that's now. Thing. This is different. You know now. There's clarity now. There's clear red flags. There's clear things that are showing you that this is not going to work out. So you would have to sit with the consequences of that decision should you pursue this. This is your side, sis, let that one go. And also maybe support him in finding other people to support him, right? Support him in finding other, male communities that he can go to, talk about his mental, emotional well-being, because you can't be that for him. That can sometimes be an avenue into us compromising on our ideals. That under the guise of, oh, I care for him, is how you got trapped in the first place.
I was literally going to say this is exactly how you got in that situation in the first place. But also I know it can be very tempting because, we want to help people. We want to be friends with people. But it's actually when people are in these most vulnerable situations where they are going through a mental health or emotional struggle or like a very tough period in their life that they then turn back to their vices. Right. So I actually don't want to I want to give this guy the benefit of the doubt, which is he may actually be trying to go on this faith journey and be a better person. But because of the struggles in his life, he's turning back to as most of us do actually in times of stress, we turn back to our vices, whether it's food, sex, toxic environments, things like that, things we know won't help us, but actually in a previous season, in a former version of ourselves, actually brought us comfort. And you don't want to find yourself in that situation providing him comfort in that way, because that doesn't align with who you are. And so I know you want to be around him to provide him with support, but if the support that he may be looking for could be completely counterproductive to your goals, you need to go and find him that support elsewhere, 100%. Which is allowing him to find other friends who can help him on that journey, especially male ones.
100%. And look, let's keep it real, sis. Maybe it was good. Maybe you had a great
I'm telling you. Now you've got the memories and the flashbacks.
You won't be the first and you won't be the last. And maybe that's what's contributing to this whole idea of soul tie. In fact, don't be bamboozled by a soul tie being this big thing that you now can't overcome. I think even that's given a lot of power to that particular bond. And I think even in that, right, sometimes this whole like soul tie like narrative can give a lot of undue and unnecessary power to something that within our faith we have already overcome. So don't allow yourself to be bound up in this whole idea of, oh, I'm bound to him now, so I have to make do. There's been far too many women.
Nothing.
Let me tell you, the sisters that are listening right now, whatever is holding you, whatever is holding you back, whatever is holding you down, whatever thing that you feel like you are tied to, the faith that we believe in, the God that we believe in says, baby, you have overcome. It says you in the word, it says you are more than a conqueror.
There you go.
And you have conquered this one.
There we go.
And look, sis, maybe it felt good. As Courtney said, you have the memories, you have all of that kind of stuff. But again, it's about the renewing of the mind on a daily basis. Take those active steps to start untangling yourself or, distancing yourself. Again, that's why distance is important. And quite frankly, don't go over with food. Send that man a delivery voucher.
If that,
baby.
And the best way to like deliver yourself from any kind of bondage is to continue to resist temptation.
There we go.
And I know that temptations will come. You've probably got great memories of this
100%.
situation, and you liked him.
100%.
And probably have emotional fondness there. There will be temptations that present themselves to you and come into your mind and your heart to tell you to go back to something which actually doesn't serve your journey. You must resist temptation. It's hard. It's way easier said than done, but you must resist temptation in this situation. Okay,
get behind these
Satan. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Kick rocks.
Kick rocks. That is one of my favorite sayings ever. Kick rocks. Go back home, Johnny.
Get out of here. Nobody wants you.
All right. Dilemma number 3. Hi, sisters. I have been listening to the podcast for a minute, and I always tell people how much this podcast has truly changed my life. I truly love this platform and community you both have created. Aww. Now, sis, let's get into the tea. Okay. I am in college, and I feel as though one of my closest friends isn't the same friend to me as I am to her.
Ooh, okay.
Background. She was my first friend ever at college and has become my bestie as we have navigated life's challenges together, being so far from home. A part of our friendship, I have made it a priority to show up for her, whether that be attending events, award ceremonies, or crises such as hospital. Anytime she is doing something, it is expected of me to be there. However, it is not a priority of hers to show up for me. Mm-hmm. I recently started an initiative on campus about women focusing on putting themselves first before investing into the community. Oh, love that.
That's wonderful.
She has never attended one meeting.
Hey.
I have won multiple awards. She has never shown up to a ceremony.
Hey.
I do want to note she shows up to the big things. For example, taking me to the airport, moving into storage, eating. Well, that's kind of not the big thing. Okay. But that is not what matters most to me. I want my friend to celebrate me too. Okay. When I addressed this issue to her, she escaped accountability by blaming it on external factors rather than acknowledging where I was coming from. For example, she was in a relationship and completely shut me out, but claims it's because of other things. This is just one example of a grievance I brought to her where I felt she was putting a man over our friendship. Although we are back on good terms, I cannot shake the feeling that she really isn't a good friend to me. Side note, this is the first major issue we have ever had. I believe that continuing the friendship is me settling. But I do not want to stay in a friendship I know where I'm settling for a part-time friend when I am a full-time sister. Do I keep the friendship or cut things off? Sincerely, your little sister.
Oh, you little. Hey, girl. Hey, we love the little sisters. We love the youngins, fresh and whatnot. I'm acting like we're mad old and we're really not. First of all, sis, I am sorry to hear that this has been your experience and that you've been feeling this way. It's never nice to feel like people are not showing up for you, especially when you feel like you've been putting so much effort into showing up for them. And I appreciate the nuance and the grace that you've given your friend thus far. And also, I actually appreciate the attempt that you've had a couple of times, it seems, to have those conversations with her where you bring up some of the issues that you have had previously. In terms of cutting off, I think let's steer away from that for now, because for us, cutting off is always going to be the last resort. So let's steer away from the cutting off for now, unless, the babe does something that is immediate, snip. Let's bring it back. It's very much a spectrum.
Yeah.
I think it's very much about having multiple conversations. I think this was something that we mentioned earlier on in the first dilemma, actually, around resolution sometimes doesn't look like something that can be achieved overnight.
Yes.
Sometimes it's an adjustment over a season or a period of time. And you mentioned that this is one of your first friends from, college, and you're going through a very serious like transition period where people are still figuring out things. This is not to make any excuses, because I know you ain't trying to hear no excuses. You said it in your dilemma. But college is a time where many of us are trying to figure out adulting, trying to figure out who we are, trying to understand what our character is like, who we are as people, essentially. So there's definitely going to be a bit of bumps and bruises where folks get unintentionally burned. Now, it doesn't sound like she is an insidious kind of person that actually doesn't like you, because she showed up for you in certain situations.
Yeah.
Some of the things that you said, were big. It's like, damn, these are really important places and opportunities for her to show up as a real friend. Because I think the reverse, actually, where people can go to things like awards and the things that you celebrate in public but not show up for you in private. And it seems that while she hasn't got the balance right in your eyes, there are some moments where she's actually showed up for you. So I think even in your conversations, maybe leading with that and saying, look, I know there's been some real strong attempts to support me, and I've appreciated you in attempting to support me in this way, because I think in navigating those conversations, it's easy to trigger somebody's defensiveness if you don't acknowledge the fact that they're actually trying. Yeah. And to me, from this dilemma, it sounds like a sis has been trying, and I hear it, but I also I understand that when you get into a relationship, it can be very difficult to try and navigate, okay, what's the correct balance between spending time with your partner, but then also spending time with your friend. Yeah. People get it wrong all the time. And I think, again, bringing it up to her in a way that acknowledges that she's trying will soften the blow a little bit, but also give her some acknowledgement and some affirmation that you actually do care about her. So I definitely think, rather than doing like that one big conversation, it's sink or swim, we're either going to be friends or not. I would very much see this as almost like an opportunity for you to work at your relationship. Yes. And I think one thing that we need to remember with friendships is, much like romantic relationships, past the honeymoon phase, we need to work at this thing, and we're not going to get it right. Yeah. And there will be extended seasons where this thing is hard, or like, I might not like you, or you're not showing up for me in this particular way. But it's that persistence and understanding and ascertaining, is this something that both of us are committed to working on?
Good.
So starting the conversations again with affirming your good sis, affirming your friend, and then saying, look, is this something that you want us to commit to over the long haul? What are particular areas that you would like us to focus on? And really opening this up to be a reciprocated conversation. And then framing some of these shortfallings as needs, right? It is rather than saying, you haven't shown up for me here, it's hey sis, I love that you've done this for me, but my particular needs in this season are, I would love to be celebrated more, because I really enjoy affirmation and it really builds my confidence. Exactly. That is such an easier sell than, baby, you ain't showing up for me. And it's also less provocative. It's coming from a place of love, and it's framing it as a need, something that, the other person can potentially fulfill. And I think also extending the hand to her, as much as we can have in our own minds, I've been showing up for you, I've been going to everything. Do you, and are you certain that's what she needs from you right now? Because you may be showing up for her in the way that you want to be showed up for, but are you sure that that's what she needs? Exactly. Like, in terms of that reciprocated conversation, have you sat her down and said, okay, sis, what are your needs in this particular season? Equally, when sis was going through, when she was kind of sharing all of these different things that she said she had been going through, did you really sit with that and think, okay, cool, how could this have been impacting her behavior? Did you really give her the benefit of the doubt? Did you assume the best of intentions? Because those could have been real barriers when it came to showing up for you. And then also being very proactive. Okay, maybe it might not be that she needs you to be at every event, whereas you might want her to be at more events. Maybe it might be actually, I want to have more like phone calls with you, or maybe I kind of want more affirmation from you, or maybe I want more kind of sentimental moments with you, as opposed to just you coming to all of my events. So I think really giving the benefit of the doubt, extending grace to both parties, really establishing for both of you that this is a relationship that you care about and you're willing to work for, and then affirming each other and saying, look, I love you, sis, and I want us to build this relationship and continue. And then thinking about, okay, what are the practical needs that both of us have, and then what can we actually do?
Yeah.
Like, can we meet that need? And also not having resentment when it may not be possible.
Definitely.
Because it may not be she may not like be trying to shade you by not coming to your events. It's hard to come to everything, you know. You might be like, and this is something that I have like struggled with, where it's like, it's easy for you to give somebody the love that you're used to, and then you find it difficult when they're not able to reciprocate in that exact way, right? Like, you may be the kind of person that's like, I can show up to everything, I'm going to prioritize you. But other people actually just don't think like that. Like, that's not the way they've been wired. So I think having those conversations, giving that grace and structuring it like that will help you and help this relationship a ton. But I definitely don't think that you guys are at, you know, sink or swim. We burning this bridge.
It doesn't sound like it.
Nah, I think it's extending the leaf.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think from the way you've put this dilemma, it could seem like your friend has actually expressed to you that there are a lot of different things happening in her life, but because you may not have seen those things if they were happening to you as a challenge, you're kind of looking at her thinking, so what's I'm not hearing an obstacle here. And I think empathy may be really important, but also this is a great insight into how you can actually support her, how she presently needs it. It's very easy to go to, oh no, you're in a relationship, that's what's changed everything, but also she actually just laid in front of you maybe several other things which have changed a lot for her. And I think you're both still in college, which means that she's probably still studying, probably still trying to understand and grab her bearings around certain things as well. And as much as, yes, you need her to show up for you in this particular way, the way that she needs you to show up for her may have actually changed. And it's worth actually rehashing those conversations out as well. And I really love that you put out that this is a great way to express your needs. This is a great opportunity to express what it is you actually want and need. And I think a lot of us are scared to express our needs because, one, we're scared of disappointment, or two, we just don't want to seem needy, but we as friends need things. And so it's important for you to be able to outline to your friend that, hey, this is, like you said, Renee, this is actually how I need you to show up for me in this season of my life. I would like for you to attend events and stuff like that, and really hearing out why she can't and seeing how you can then help support her. I also think sometimes we expect that support looks 50-50 in certain seasons of life, and sometimes actually you do need to show up a little bit more for your friends in certain seasons of their life. And it may feel like, oh, but I don't want to put my stuff on the back burner, but I guarantee you, once certain circumstances in their life change, you then feel a lot more loved and appreciated because they have the capacity to actually love you well. And I know some people may see that as unfair or some balance, but sometimes that's just the nature of relationships for a short season. And that's worth also speaking about, which is, if this happens continually, then it's not a season.
Wrap it up.
There is actually an imbalance here, but this could actually be for a season. I think that takes not only, you know, an internal conversation with yourself and self-awareness, but also speaking, actually having the conversation with her multiple times. And it does seem like she showed up for you in different ways, and it may not be in the way that you receive love, but it could be in the way that she expresses love. And so to her, she's actually loved you well. But I think it's about understanding each other now and being clear about what, and vulnerably communicating what it is that you need. And that's okay. And like Renee said, it may require multiple conversations, and I hope that you have the patience for that as well. But I think if you cut off somebody at this point, you're gonna be disappointed with relationships in life in general, because things aren't black and white. It's so unfortunate. We wish it was, but you also can't control everything. And this is something I really wanted to emphasize from hearing this dilemma. Don't try and control how people behave towards you. Give them the opportunity to actually show up and behave in their best way, right, towards you, and accept and decide whether that's something you're willing to accept. But you cannot control exactly how people show up for you, exactly what it is they say and they do around you. You're not a mind controller. You're not someone who should control people's behavior like that. And so maybe it's worth like inviting her to stuff. You may also be trying to expect her to do things intuitively, but maybe she's also waiting for you to like extend an invitation. And I know for a lot of us, it's like, why would I need to do that? But like you said, everyone is wired differently. Like I remember asking my mum, when we moved to this place, my mum never came to visit me. And I was like, why ain't you been to my house? Like, I moved, I'm your daughter. You don't want to see where I live. I could be living in squalor and you don't even know. And she was like, you never invited me to your house. And in my head, it was like, you're my mom. You should be like, I'm coming to your house. But she's like, the way I see things is you should invite me to your home.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, you're right. So to her, it's like, there's actually not been an opportunity maybe for me to show up for you in the way that you want me to, because you're assuming that I will just think in this way.
Bring myself there.
Everyone is different, especially if you meet someone at college. You're not probably coming from the same culture, from the same background. How things are done may be different. So in my head, I think this is a great opportunity to now start forming your own culture and start, getting on the same page and getting to that mutual understanding of how you want to show up for each other as friends, but also contextualizing it in everyone's present capacity and thinking, how can you serve your friend, but also now how can your friend actually show up for you now that you've clearly expressed your needs and there's something you can hold her accountable to, which is this conversation. So I hope that was helpful, girl. And on to the last dilemma, the last one.
Hey, Renee and Courtney.
Hi.
I'm a devoted listener of your podcast and I wanted to reach out to you for some advice. Recently, I had an experience that has left me feeling devastated and unsure of how to move forward. A week ago, my boyfriend and I had sex in his mother's house.
Hey, the girls are having sex.
The girls are having sex. Oh my God. All this penis patrol. Get it away, nasty.
Anti-bac.
Get away. My God, all this penis going around. Okay.
Lurgies.
It was my God, big lurgies, big ones. It was my first time meeting his mom, and while I have spoken with his sisters a few times over video call, I had never met any of his family in person before. The day before, I noticed a sore near my genitals. I have had similar sores in the past, particularly during my periods or after shaving, and assumed it was due to sweat buildup or an ingrown hair. However, the sore was still there when my boyfriend and I had sex. I told him it was due to my period, which had just ended, and we proceeded to have unprotected sex as we have done several times before. We have been in a committed relationship for 2 years and have been friends for 6 years prior to that, and he has been my only sexual partner for over 3 years. 2 days later, my boyfriend began experiencing severe symptoms, including painful sores on his genitals, which he immediately assumed were due to herpes. He accused me of cheating, despite my protest that I had no symptoms of herpes at the time of our sexual encounter. Dang. I did some research on my own and discovered that the sore I had been disregarding was actually a herpes sore, and I had been unwittingly transmitting the virus to my boyfriend. This was the first time we had sex when the sore was still there. I have been devastated by this news and have spent the past week feeling like a terrible person. My boyfriend has been less than supportive and has said some hurtful things to me. I understand that he is in a lot of pain and is scared, but it has been difficult to hear these things from someone I love and who supposedly loves me back. They are also a very religious family, and he has been saying that God is punishing him for having sex in his mother's house.
Hey.
I am also struggling with the fact that I now have herpes and have likely had it for some time without realizing it. I have previously tested negative for HIV, but I never thought to get tested for other STIs. I would appreciate any advice you have on how to deal with this situation. I'm feeling incredibly stressed and unsure of how to move forward. Thank you for taking the time to read my message.
Okay. Firstly, everyone listening,
I'm glad that you're doing this one first because I'm still processing.
Screaming.
I'm processing in my head. I'm
God, give me
processing.
wisdom. Okay, cool. Everyone listening, please go and get health checkups, right? Whether you are sexually active or not, something especially like herpes, please, I am not a doctor. We relate back to the girl in the first dilemma, public health master's degree. Come in the comments now. It's your time to shine. All of my medical professionals downstairs in the comments,
Open up, baby.
But from what I understand about herpes, it can be contracted without sexual intercourse. So like even cold sores on your lips is a form of herpes, things like that. So please, whether you are sexually active or not, please go and just get routine checkups once a year, once every 2 years, whatever it is, surrounding STDs, STIs, but just general health, just to know what's going on with your body, especially a virus like herpes. I think it can linger in your body for a very long time. Even after like visible sores have gone away, you can still have the virus going on. And if you're around babies and stuff like that, you just don't want to be, we want to be wise and careful and take care of people by taking care of ourselves. And so please, everyone listening, checkups, doctors, calls now. To you, my good sister, you are dealing with a lot, okay? Not only has your relationship been affected, you've actually just found out you have Is herpes a STI, STD?
I think it's an I. Let's check.
Yeah.
Before we spread
a little research, misinformation of the masses.
Yeah. Is herpes an STI or STD? Or is it interchangeable?
STD. Okay, cool. So herpes, according to Google, is an STD. So I'm going to call it an STD from this point. But I feel like I can't remember the point.
Yeah. So experts do not recommend getting a herpes blood test as part of a regular screening for sexually transmitted infections. That's because a positive result only means you have been exposed to the virus. So it can't tell you if you will get sores or if any sores you have are caused by the herpes virus. You would need to get STD checking.
Okay, cool. Just get both. Let's just
everything.
be well-rounded here. Just do it.
With everything,
blood, urine, whatever you need. Let me know. I'm gonna give it to you. So, okay, cool. You've just found out that you have herpes, and that is a really mind-blowing thing because I'm sure it then spirals you. Like how we just went to Google to find out so much about herpes. It's probably caused you to go down a whole spiral of what does this mean? What does this mean for my body? What could this potentially mean for my future? And all of that can really make us scared. And so I really want to speak to you in this moment, which is please be working very closely with a medical professional, your doctor, your GP, whatever it is, your physician, to make sure that you are actually okay, and that you are getting on top of any symptoms. But also this is just something that you're dealing with for the future, but also for your holistic and overall well-being. Please take care of yourself. And I know your first thought is probably like, oh, what does this mean for my relationship? But really and truly take care of your health. Make sure that you are okay. And like, I know that there's a lot of stigma attached to like STIs, STDs and stuff like that. But like you're saying, you don't even know where this thing came from. And I know that may feel like a bit, oh, how can you not know where this thing came from? But things happen using public toilets. There's so much happening. No, because there's so much happening. No, because honest to God, like there's so much happening with our bodies as we get older that sometimes you can find yourself having something and you think, what have I actually done? Like you might not have been out here, having sex with loads of people. You may not have been out here with like really poor hygiene.
And that's the unfortunate thing about the stigma, right?
Exactly. Now there's this stigma attached to it, which suggests, no, if you've got this, you must have been doing all of this stuff. And it's like, actually, no, I haven't. And I think it's worth just, you yourself stepping back and realizing this doesn't mean anything about you. Yeah. Your actions are what speaks about you as a person, right? And so your actions right now is go and make sure that you're, handling this responsibly. What I would say now in regards to your relationship is, as much as it sounds like your boyfriend is coming at you quite harshly, I can't lie, sis, I hear where he's coming from. If my partner came to me and was like, I gave you herpes, I do not know where I got it from, but I know I didn't get it from you.
It's giving.
Oh, we gotta have a conversation.
But
I'm not gonna lie to you. Do you get what I mean?
Like before. The thing about the whole herpes thing is you got to sit down and do the research, the dates and everything like that. So it's like, don't just come and say, oh, babes, I have herpes. I think you have. Yeah. Obviously, it's unfortunate because this has already happened. Yeah. But it's more of I've only recently found out, and this is what I've found out about the disease itself, in that it can be contracted and the person not know for a really long time. So, obviously we've been having sex. This hasn't been an issue because I haven't had the sores. Like you need to come clinical with that explanation.
Facts for facts, line on line. And it may seem, again, like really meticulous and you're over explaining yourself, but I think this is the thing about romantic or intimate relationships, which is my body and your body are connecting in a way which is very intimate. And so we're about to have a very intimate, in-depth conversation because in-depth was how we got into this situation. Do you get what I mean? I think it's important to have that outlined conversation. And I get where his fears or his worries may be. I mean, the whole religious, like overly religious sentiment. I mean, I don't know what the good Lord is doing upstairs. I'm not going to say it's a punishment there because the rest of us would need to go to hell too. I would definitely say that it's worth having a sit down and just being like Renee said, these are the dates. This is what I saw. I didn't think that it was herpes. I thought it was something else. I've seen these sores before. I just assumed it was everything you outlined in this message. I'm sure you've probably told him it already, but I understand where he's coming from in his struggle to maybe understand or forgive or be open to even having a conversation past you've clearly been sleeping with someone else, which may seem like a big jump, but oftentimes when you aren't as educated about something, your mind goes to the stereotypes that you have heard through media,
Yep.
through different things, which tell you if you've contracted an STD or STI from your partner, it's probably because they've been sleeping with other people and they have other sexual partners, which in your case is not the case, but I get why his mind would go there. And so personally, I do think if he asks for space, you should give it to him.
I agree.
I do think that if this results in, you know, maybe a bit of a break or a little breakup, I kind of understand where this is coming from, because all you can do is say your piece.
Yeah.
All you can do is speak, I hate the term, but your truth, like the actual truth of the situation. And if he doesn't understand it, then I'm gonna really struggle to see how you guys can both move forward together in the same, you know, relationship dynamic which you had. But I think maybe over time, understanding may come over it, and hopefully there is a positive outcome to that conversation where you outline everything and he's like, actually, I understand where you're coming from. I can tell this didn't come from, you know, any wrongdoing or any foul play. And so now you're able to move forward. But if that is not the outcome, baby girl, it's okay, you tried. All right.
Absolutely.
Now it's time for you to go to the GP.
Yeah,
that's all I can say. Deal with this, and yeah, really take time to process this as well. This is a really, really tough one.
This is a tough one. Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think it's one of those ones where there may have been things that, you know, we could have done retrospectively that may have helped, but where it is what it is now, and it's very much about moving forward and figuring out how you can do that in a way that's productive. And I definitely agree. I mean, as much as your boyfriend may be like wilding out, he's actually very entitled to wild out, because me too, I would wild out. And it's a heavy thing to carry, you know, with the stigma attached to it. And then also thinking about like, this is actually, like I said, STD, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a serious thing for some people. And I think that, like, thinking about sex as well, obviously within the confines of a loving relationship, sometimes we can take for granted some of the really like big consequences that come as a result of having unprotected sex. And not from a religious perspective, because
from a medical
one, you know, having unprotected sex with anybody, right, it's necessary. At least this is more wisdom to the sisters that are listening in. If you are going to have unprotected sex with anybody, just make sure that you are tested, you know their sexual history, not in terms of how many bodies they have. I mean, if that's something you care about, that's your business, but more so like
what's going on in their body.
Going on their body. Even basic things like, are you drinking enough water? Because that in of itself, I think, is a massive indicator as to whether you should have sex with somebody. But that besides the point, we really need to make sure that we don't allow ourselves to be I wouldn't say blindsided, but we take the necessary precautions when we have these kind of things as, you know, additions in our relationship. So if you are going to be sexually active, I need you to be as active as you are sexually outside of the bedroom when it comes to protecting yourself when you are in the arena.
Sexual health.
So make sure that you are staying on top of your sexual health checkups. Make sure that you are consistently going now, thinking about what kind of antibiotics you may have to take. Also thinking about how you're going to move forward with your boyfriend. It might be worth giving him some space, as you mentioned, before, you know, not demanding him, but thinking about what is next for us, because now it's here, you know, like we can't take it back. Now it's here. What are we going to do? And then, even in terms of like the whole like family dynamic, I don't know if the family knows you guys are having sex or whatnot. Like, I don't know. It's not really their business. I mean, it is their business if you're having sex in their house.
Oh, yeah.
It's not their business on the one hand, but if you are going to be having sex and unprotected sex in environments that you don't own, then some of the consequences, or at least some of the things that may happen as a result, sis,
it's accountability.
I need you. Exactly. Thank you. That's the word. You need to take accountability for some of your decisions. And those decisions included having unprotected sex. That included having unprotected sex in his mother's house. Not to sound like judgmental or anything like that, because it happens. It really does happen to the best of us. Sometimes you're with your partner, and as you said, this isn't like weird or new. You guys have been having unprotected sex, so nobody's shocked or anything like that. But now hopefully you can make some wiser decisions, some kinder decisions as well. I'm really focused on that rebuilding process, and I think it may take time. So being patient, really being patient in terms of rebuilding with your boyfriend, if that's something that happens, but also being patient about, you know, the new reality of having sex, what that might look like, maybe thinking about what protected sex looks like with you guys moving forward, thinking about how this is going to affect you like mentally as well as physically, but really taking your time with that rebuilding process, because I know that when something like this happens, you're like, I just want things to go back to the way they are now. But unfortunately, that's not how things work.
Things will change.
So yeah, sending you so much love. Please lean on medical professionals in this time and really do your research with that. Focus on, as Courtney said, I love that you said that over communication. You do owe the guy some over communication, not even some. It's at point, evidence, explanation, link back. And you might need to have to do it a couple of times.
Yes.
And then if later down the line, like much later down the line, it's clear that this has been a boundary that's crossed, then that might be something that you need to think about in terms of navigating that. I don't want to say breakup. I'm not going to put that into the atmosphere. But navigating that potential situation. But yeah, wisdom, accountability is key, and patience. Those are the 3 words.
Definitely. And like for everyone else listening, as Sis said in the dilemma, there were things that she was noticing that she was kind of dismissing. And I think it's important for us to take notice of our bodies. Okay, 100%. Get a mirror, look down there, look at our good sis down there, and just see what's going on. You get what I mean? But also just all around your body in general, like certain growths, spots, marks, sores, whatever it is, bruises, discharge, smells. Like, just pay attention to your body and give it the care that it needs. It's easy for us to dismiss it as, oh, it's just XYZ, but it may be worth just a quick call. I know the NHS currently here in the UK is a bit stretched.
You might be on the call for a while.
I'm telling you, but your body is worth it. Your overall well-being is worth it. And just at least having a conversation with someone like, oh, I saw XYZ. Has this ever happened to you before?
100%.
And this is where like sisterhood and community can actually come into play, which is maybe I can't get a hold of the NHS, or I don't actually think this is a big deal, but I saw 100%. A spot in this space. You know, have you ever dealt with that? And having that kind of transparency with people around you as well. I wouldn't say do your Google searches, because Google will let you know that you're dying.
Clinic. This is the thing. Basically. Google, you'll be out here
clinic
that you're dying.
Or community, but clinic, heavy on the clinic.
100%. And then 2 things. The first is that sisters, don't think that because you're on a hormonal contraceptive that you are having protected sex. You are protected from pregnancy, and even then,
that's it.
For some of them, it's looking like 97 to 99. Yeah. There's a range. In fact, for some with like effective use, it's like 91%. Yeah. So get clued up if you are going to be, having sex. Obviously, for me and Courtney, we abstinent. We ain't having sex. That's the best. That is 100%.
But it can't protect you from herpes, apparently.
There we go. So again, I think it's a sentiment that was shared in, the last few dilemmas. Don't think that it couldn't be you, because some of us could easily, it just takes one night with no protection for that kind of thing to happen. Or equally, there are some spaces that are a little dirty, so you might pick up something by accident.
I'm telling you.
So just make sure you do your research on what constitute as protected sex, and also what are the circumstances under which you would feel comfortable having sex. Make sure you know who you're having sex with. If you do decide to have sex, we would remind you, and we would genuinely support abstinence until you found somebody that you would like to. I highly recommend it, because I don't even think about those kind of things, because.
But then this lends to a second thing, which is being able to have a partner who can be open with you to tell you their sexual history and sexual health honestly. Okay, you say you're abstinent, but what does that mean?
Are you like, because some people, there's levels to abstinence. It's like, we're not going to have penetrative sex.
Do you get what I mean? But somebody's mouth is on my the cold sore herpes. Boom bam.
Talk about abstinence.
Boom bam. Sexual health. Okay. Boom bam. Protective sex is more than just pregnancy.
Child.
All right.
Child.
Protect your coochie.
Yeah. Protect the coochie.
Protect the cooch. Like, please.
Protect the coochie from bums. And
protect your bum too.
Protect the bums from bums. Big energy on the protect the bums from bums, baby. That's a special place. That's a special place, baby.
Look, that's a special place.
You the one that said 8 earlier.
I know, I did. But the girls are doing things, I just feel like we have to do our work.
The girls are doing things, and then the second thing is, if you are in the UK and you are under 25, you can get some free stuff, whether it be STI and STD checks. There are some clinics around. Just make sure you check on the NHS website. Free contraception. Get clued up, sisters, please.
Please do. Well, that brings us to the end of answering dilemmas. But before you go, we have a dilemma update. Yes, because sometimes you guys send us updates after we've actually answered your dilemmas on the podcast, and you let us know what's going on in your life. So I thought I'd bring some updates to you. All right, so this is
go.
I said
Update me.
updates is just one.
I'm
Okay,
screaming.
dilemma update. I don't know if you guys remember, we had a dilemma where it was recent, where sis was like, me and my boyfriend, we're going through changes in our core values.
Yeah.
I'm in Australia or
Yeah,
somewhere like that,
yeah.
and he's in the States.
How they
Long distance
doing?
relationship. Here's the update. Thank you, sisters. Your advice really helped my relationship. I also had the chance to ask my partner whether he might be struggling with the feeling of resentment, and we worked through it. So basically their core, their changes in values as well as their changes in schedule because of work and studies meant that she wasn't being able to give as much time to the relationship, and that was building resentment on her end, but also on his end as well. I also got the chance to listen to some of my flaws as well, and I am actively working on them. We also mutually agreed to be friends as we evolve into the different human beings that we're meant to be. We prayed about the situation as well, and I believe the Holy Spirit guided accordingly. Since we're now on great terms as friends, I believe that there is growth awaiting me and him on our journeys, and I am placing the future of my education into God's hands. Thank you once more, sisters. May God bless you. Amen. We receive it. Amen. And honestly, sis, we are glad that the advice was helpful. We're glad that the outcome was for good. We wish nothing but the best and pray for nothing but the best for you and him, and that maybe your paths will cross, but when it does, you are both better 100%, human beings when you 100%. Do meet.
We love that for you, sis, and what a wonderful update. And sisters, if you have sent in a previous dilemma, and well, sisters and brothers, because clearly sisters, brothers, and any out there that, you know, if you have sent in a dilemma and we've answered it and you have an update for us, please send it our way. We'd love to know how y'all are doing. We care about you.
Yes. Well, that brings us to the end of this week's episode, the People's Ep. We wanted to answer some more dilemmas as per some of your requests. And so if you have any other requests around episodes you'd like for us to do, but also if you want to send us a dilemma, send it to dilemmas@twomySisters.com. Make sure that you follow us across all social media @twomysisterhood, absolutely everywhere. If it's a social media platform, we're there, baby. Okay, the sisterhood is far reaching, but also you can follow us as individuals. The lovely lady in the car key on my right is @Renee Kapuku, and I am @CD Boating. Currently on a social media break though, and so if you want to speak to me, then the best place is to email me.
I'm screaming. Just follow her. She'll be back.
I will be back.
We can't tell you when she'll be back. Don't be looking for her. Just wait on it. But yes, of course, sisters, and please make sure that you are signed up to the To My Sisters mailing list. You don't want to miss out. That announcement that is coming out, the only place that you'll be able to get the link is if you are signed up to the mailing list. So don't slack, don't lack, don't.
Is that true?
Well,
it's actually not true.
The only place that you'll get first dibs.
There we go.
Because you won't be able. You won't find it.
You'll be the first to hear.
You won't find it.
Where you'll be the
find
first
it.
to hear.
You won't. Maybe you will.
You will. So it's a quick Google.
But you will find it quicker. You will find it quicker. You will find it quick.
You will find it quick.
Courtney, we have a script.
Sign up to our mailing list because you want weekly growing tips, but we'll also send you a link that is important straight to your inbox.
A drug peddler. Make sure you sign up to the. If you want to get that, Shmi, you know that. If you want to get that green,
please, this is a legal operation.
Sign up to them.
Thank you to mysisters.com. Sisters, we hope that you have an amazing week. It seems we've gone too far. Have an amazing week.
James St. Patrick, baby. Call me Franklin Saint.
And as always, keep glowing and growing. That is hilarious.